Okay.
Hi, everyone. I am LaurieAnn. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with...
I am Roy Miller, that guy. I'm from Dallas, Texas. We'd like to welcome you to our Lift Your Story podcast.
So today we're pleased to have Marian with us. She is a mediator, and she combines her positive communication techniques with her knowledge of family law, civil litigation, and legal processes. And we're going to learn more about that. Thank you for being here, Marian.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, so my first question is, are you like a court-appointed mediator?
I am not court appointed.
Okay.
So I have over 16 years of family law and civil litigation experience. I'm the founder of Absolute Dispute Resolution, and we're based in Oakville, Ontario. We do online mediations across Ontario. As well, we hold in-person mediations. We have an office in Toronto, Oakville, and Mississauga. And 95% of my mediations are family related, so divorce, separation, co-parenting. We also do elder disputes and disputes surrounding wills and estates.
Okay.
That's very interesting.
So are you an attorney?
No, I am not a lawyer. I am a family law mediator, and previously I was law clerking.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the legal profession, yeah.
Yes.
That background.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So what got you into that?
So after clerking for so many years, and I've seen a lot of different cases, particularly in family law, where people are spending upwards of $150,000. Some cases are taking over 10 years to get to trial, with a minimum of at least 2 years to get to trial. Now with COVID and the pandemic, probably even longer. And I really did not like what I was seeing, people getting stuck in this vicious court cycle, spending all this money, all their life savings that could either be used towards their kids' education or a home or retirement. And it literally was breaking my heart. So I went back to school, got my accreditation for family law mediation. And really, I just wanted to help people kind of streamline what they're spending and the length of time that they're stuck in this. So especially in divorce, I mean, the whole reason they're getting divorced is because they dislike the other person. So having to be stuck 10 years fighting for that just didn't make any sense to me. So that was why I got into it.
Perfect.
I love your tagline, mediation over litigation. That's a great tagline.
Thank you.
So you say you do when you do mediation, because I've been involved in a company mediation one time, and we would go in kind of together, then we'd separate into two different rooms. The mediator would talk to me, they'd talk to the other person, and come back and forth. Is that kind of how you do your mediation?
So I do it a couple different ways. So what you're referring to is called a shuttle mediation, and I do that if it's requested by one of the parties. Especially in divorce, sometimes people don't want to see each other again, or they're uncomfortable. So I will do that. Other times we'll hold the mediation all in one room. It's obviously quicker because in a shuttle mediation, I'm having to kind of be the go-between, going back and forth and repeating everything that was said. Whereas if you're in the same room, it's just said right at that moment, and people can react to it at that moment. And it doesn't happen all the time, but if somebody has requested to be in a separate room, then we definitely will do that.
I don't know how it is in Canada, but so if you're a mediator, is your decision final?
No, so I don't take part in any decision-making process. So basically, I meet with the clients. I will do an intake meeting with each of them separately. Then from there, I will assist them with their financial disclosure and financial statements. Then we go into the mediation, we negotiate, we agree on certain terms. If we don't agree on all the terms, I'll either schedule another mediation, or if it's something they can't really meet in the middle on, we'll send it to a lawyer. But I don't take part in any decisions. I'm the neutral third party, so I'm facilitating that that talk and that negotiation. I will put it into a memorandum of understanding, and then both parties will seek independent legal advice to make sure that their rights are being protected. But I take absolutely no part in any decision-making process. That's not the role of a mediator. So if it goes to arbitration or it goes to court, then it's a different process. But speaking strictly on mediation, I don't make any decisions.
Okay.
Interesting. So do the lawyers themselves do that, like, are you, I would say, well, where do you find your clients, but would you have a lawyer refer you at any one time?
Yeah, so I have several family law lawyers that I do work with. So if they screen their client and see that this is a matter that would be better suited to mediation, they will send the client over to me, and we'll start the mediation process, and then I will refer that client back to that lawyer to do the independent legal advice. And then the other party would seek separate counsel, of course, because of a conflict. But I work with several lawyers. So that's one way that clients find me. Other ways is I write several blogs and I speak at various divorce support groups and things like that. So people find me there or on social media as well.
Perfect.
Okay. So have you ever been involved in a situation where it got physical in your presence?
Not so physical, loud, yes. And yeah, and there's a few vulgar words thrown in there, but not like a physical fisticuff kind of thing. No. Knock on wood, I don't want to be a party to that. So
Nobody's jumped across the table yet, huh?
no, not yet. They have walked out of the room though. I can't lie. People have walked out of mediation, and we take a little break and try and get back to the table.
Well, that's a pretty tough process. I mean, there's a lot of emotion in that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's very emotionally driven.
Oh, that would be challenging.
It can be at times, you have to remain neutral, remain calm. You're the party that needs to get everyone to calm down and take the emotion out of the equation and really try and deal with the issues that we're trying to solve.
Yeah. So what would your average thing be? Is it divorce? Is it child custody? Is it, what do you do most of?
So it's usually divorce and separation, and that kind of encompasses child support, that encompasses access to the children, custody, spousal support, has to do with the matrimonial home or equalization of net family property. So it really encompasses everything to do with that separation.
It does, I don't know what y'all have in Canada. We call it child welfare here. So if there's a big issue, concern for the safety of the kids, then Child Protective Services comes in. They'll take the kids and then decide what to do with them. Have you been involved in those kind of situations?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have Children's Aid here, which is I suppose similar to what you're speaking of, but in child protective issues and things like that. I know there are some cases where mediators kind of deal with those issues. I haven't had one like that yet, and there are other times that it goes to the lawyer, and the lawyer kind of deals with those issues as well.
Okay. That makes sense.
So I'm just curious because I did go through divorce, and I wish I'd known you back then because we went through the lawyers, and you're talking about the amount of money. Yes, it cost us a lot. And in the end, we went to mediation, which is kind of crazy because we should have done that right from the start.
Yeah.
So that was a 4-year period. Just out of curiosity, what would you feel how do you shorten the time? Do you have an average? So something like 10 years, how much shorter would it be just going to a mediator first?
Yeah,
Stats, probably not something.
It really depends on the issues and the parties' willingness to enter into negotiations, right? Some people let their emotions get in the way, or they're bitter, or they're angry, and they draw things out longer. My quickest mediation has been 3 hours, and my longest has been 9 months.
Wow.
Wow.
So it really, and it depends how many issues there are. Yeah, it is a big difference. Like the one that I had done that took 3 hours, it was in and out. The parties were very agreeable. They knew what they wanted. They knew what they were dealing with. And we went in there, and it was a very easy conversation, right? They were amicable, and there wasn't much disagreement. But then sometimes where you get in there and you start discussing things, and one party doesn't agree, and they're kind of stuck in their way, and the other party's stuck in their way. So it takes a little bit more negotiating and kind of talking and communicating to get them to where they need to be.
So I'm curious, are they there on their own? They don't have their lawyers present when they come to meet with you, or do they, or is that at times not?
Yeah, so they can if they want. And there have been cases where lawyers are there representing their client. And there are cases where they don't bring a lawyer with them, and they'll go see their lawyer after the mediation process. You have to remember that you're paying for the lawyer to be there in mediation as well. And now you're paying for the mediator. So in some cases, I feel like that's kind of counterproductive and going against what we're really trying to achieve, which is saving the client money. Mediation on average is 75% cheaper than retaining a lawyer and going through the courts. So it's a big savings. Now, if all that money you've saved, you're getting your lawyer to go in and sit with you during the whole process, you're paying the lawyer to be there the whole day. So some people are comfortable with that, and because not everyone goes to mediation to save money. It's not the cost that's a factor. It's also the time and the stress involved, right? It's a much quicker process than going to court. So that's another factor. So if cost is not an issue to a client and they want to have their lawyer present, we certainly welcome that.
Interesting. So that's a huge difference. So I know that you were saying, Roy, that's a big span from 3 hours to 9 months.
Yeah.
But in comparison to, I would say a lot of the divorces run a heck of a lot longer if you're just going through your lawyers. A heck of a lot longer, a lot more costly, but also time-wise too.
Yeah, it does take a long time. You have to remember that in between, I don't know how it is in the USA, but in Canada, we have motions, and first time you go to court, you're going to go in for your case conference. The judge normally recommends, I'm going to say 90% of the cases recommends mediation to the parties, and then may adjourn that matter for 6, 7, 8 months, giving the parties a chance to mediate. And then if they can't settle out of court, go back to court. So there's already all that time. And then you may have a series of different motions for different things, right? And then you're going to go in for other court appearances and, settlement conferences and things like that. So it's a long road before you actually get to the trial. The trial costs in Canada anyways, it costs between $10,000 to $20,000 a day per person for court when you're at the trial stage. Wow. So it's very, very expensive. And people don't realize that. And people their first thought is really to get a lawyer, right? They think, oh, I'm getting divorced, let me call a lawyer. But they don't realize the length of time. And it may be affordable at the beginning for the first few months, but then as you go on and on, when you get into your trial stage, you're now in that system and you've spent all that money, right? And you still have like the $10,000 to $20,000 a day to spend. And if you're going into a trial that lasts a week, that's a lot of money per person.
Yeah.
It's an interesting fact too. What you're saying is a lot of people are not aware. I don't know about most lawyers' cases, but it's almost like, when you buy a car, you're not aware of all when you first buy your car when you're a kid, you don't realize all the costs that go along with it, same thing. And they don't tell you
Yeah.
when they sell you a car, they're not going to tell you right there and then what the costs are going to be.
No.
Same thing with the lawyers. They, I remember me going in and, I said, this is all I have. And she goes, no problem. We can work with that budget. Well, it was probably about 6 times more than what I said I could afford.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if, I don't know what it's called in the US, Roy, but we have legal aid here in Canada. And a lot of people think that, oh, I qualify for legal aid. I've got free lawyers. They start with 15 hours and then they need to reassess you. And that 15 hours gets you nowhere. You're not even in court by the time 15 hours. Like that 15 hours, I don't even know in most cases if your financial disclosure is done, because there's a lot of going back and forth and you have to take that into account. In a firm, you're also paying for the law clerk's time to work on your file. So you're paying the lawyer, but now you're paying the law clerk's hourly wage and you're paying the legal assistant's hourly wage. So that 15 hours goes very, very quickly, and it's a long process. So, and people don't realize that, at my firm, like we have a program that also helps low-income families. So I always say, if you're thinking about legal aid, you're still going through the court process. The time is there. You have to reapply for legal aid after your hours are done, and you may not get it. Now you're in the court process. You have no more legal aid. How are you going to pay for the lawyer now?
Yeah,
right? So that time is wasted. You probably would have settled out of court.
I was involved in a corporation, and we went to legal aid to figure out, we just get some advice what to do. We got the advice, we followed it, and it was the worst advice we could have ever gotten.
Yeah.
And we had to get a lawyer anyway, but yeah, so yeah, it's not always the best.
No, and I have a lot of people come to me after legal aid saying their lawyer dragged things out. They said they never imagined, they thought, that they would have all this free legal help. It's really not the case.
No, there's no free.
No, there isn't.
And in those drawn out divorces, the only people that make money are the attorneys.
Yes.
The longer you go, the more they make. They don't care if y'all can't agree on anything, because every time they do something, there's a cost for it.
Yeah.
Make a copy, it costs. Make a phone call, it costs. Everything. So
yeah, and the fees are much higher, right? The hourly fees are much higher. So you're paying for that. In mediation, you're paying hourly as well, but it's a big difference from what you're paying for mediation as opposed to the hourly rate of a lawyer. And the retainer is a big difference. Mm-hmm. I mean, most family law firms here, they take between $8,000 to $10,000 a person as a retainer, and not everyone has that kind of money to give as a retainer.
Yeah. So if two people are considering getting a divorce, what would your advice be as far as going to a mediator versus going to a lawyer?
I would say to approach mediation first. Most firms offer a consultation. We offer a 1 hour free consultation to each party, and at least learn about mediation. So you're learning the pros and cons. You're learning what mediation is. A lot of people are unclear even of what mediation is or if it can help them. A lot of people think, oh no, we're fighting, it's not amicable, mediation can't help. But that's not the case. Some cases in mediation for sure are very amicable, but a good portion are not friendly. So that's your first step, is to get the education on it, learn what mediation is and how it helps you. And that way you can make an informed decision.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. But I just don't think people are aware that that's something that's available to people.
That's right.
The average person, I don't think, knows, hey, instead of getting a lawyer, why don't we go talk to a mediator first? I just don't think people really know that's an option.
No, I agree with you. And that's why I'm always trying to educate people. And like I said, I write quite a few blogs on the topic, and I speak at different groups. And, even being your guest here today, my goal is to help people know that this is a service that exists, that no, your people think their only option is to call a lawyer, and it really isn't. There are other ways to go about it that are much more cost effective, and you don't leave with this fighting mentality. You know, it's you going to a lawyer, it's going to be adversarial. Like there's no way around that.
Mhm.
Well, I would, having gone through the process, I would highly recommend it. I'm sorry that we did at the end. And, you know, people have to understand sometimes what's crazy is you can go through 4 years and at the very end, the very first offer is what they take. So you've just wasted all that
Yes.
time, all that money just to say, oh yeah, well, that was my first offer. Why didn't you go for it the first time? Yeah.
That's
So
right.
with mediation, definitely that would cut that out.
Yeah, and all that going back and forth, and you know, your people don't realize that you're paying for the lawyer to sit in court all day. And if you're sitting in court all day, and then the judge sees you at 3 o'clock, and then the judge says, "Oh, we have no more time today. Let's adjourn it for 2 weeks." You've just spent all that money all day for the lawyer to sit there, and absolutely nothing has been resolved. And that's a big misconception that people don't realize. They think they're just paying for the lawyer to talk to them on the phone and go to court. No, you're paying for the lawyer to do legal research. You're paying for the law clerk to draft your legal documents and, you know, take your call. Even if you call and you have a quick question, you're being charged for that. If you've just told the law clerk something and now the law clerk's telling the lawyer that's something else you're paying for. And people don't realize all these little things that you get charged for. In mediation, we also charge for communication with the parties, but it's a lot cheaper, our hourly rate, and you're just hiring one mediator. So you're not having, I don't need to go back and forth with all these other parties, right? It's just us that are trying to resolve it.
So as a mediator, you're the one that does all the work. I mean, you make the copies, you write everything, you send it to the attorneys and all that. You don't have an assistant and another assistant and another one, you know, okay, you use 2 paper clips, okay, that's $10, you know, and all that kind of crap. Like I mean, seriously, lawyers do that. I mean, make a copy is so much a page. And if you talk to them, no matter for 2 minutes, it's a 15-minute fee, you know, or whatever, 30 minutes or however, you know. So that's, like you say, that stuff adds up that you don't see other than, oh, I hired a lawyer. I hired John Smith. Yeah, but John's got Mary Jones and Susie Smith and all those people in the background working there, and all their stuff is being charged to you. And it's a pretty high rate.
No, you're right. Like I don't have an assistant. I do my own paperwork. It's fairly straightforward. I basically charge for my time in mediation, my time for document preparation, and any phone calls or emails that we have, you know, and then that's the bulk of the cost, right? Even when you're with a lawyer, the bulk is the negotiating. So once you've settled that, it's fairly easy.
Yeah.
There's another thing too that I was thinking about. I remember, and again, having been through it, going to court is very intimidating as well. Like I couldn't stand it. And you've also got the other party there and you've got everything. And I remember my lawyer used to get always mad at me because I would just sort of kind of have my head down and you're already going through a very difficult personal, emotional thing. On top of that intimidation factor, I would think that this would be a lot less intimidating, a lot less painful to go through than that. Because it really is, you know, it's not fun to go through that process.
No, and yeah, I actually hear that a lot. A lot of people feel that court is very intimidating. Mediation's a much more casual approach. It's, you know, you're in a boardroom, you're talking. It's not as formal, right? The other thing people have to remember that court is of public record. So anyone can get information about your matter, and that in family law is very personal. Whereas in mediation, it's a closed mediation, so nobody has access to that information. So it's all confidential, and anything said in mediation can't be used against the other party in court should it have to go to court. So that's another big bonus and you're in a safe area, right? You're not having to worry about, oh no, I better not say anything because if it goes to court next year or in a few years, that's going to be used against me. No, that's not the case. So that's another huge benefit. There's so many benefits to mediation that it goes far beyond what you're saving financially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. You know, the privacy issue, because I know nowadays everybody's concerned about privacy.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, there's so much about you out there already with social media and all that, you know, your privacy is very important. So that's good. That's good to know. That's really
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
LaurieAnn, do you have anything else? I mean,
I think this is just wonderful. I guess I would just ask Marian, where can people find you? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you our website address, which is www.absolutedisputeresolution.ca. People can also find us. We're on all the social media platforms. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And our blogs are posted on Medium and WordPress and Tumblr. So I'm sure if you do a search for us, you'll be able to find us one of those ways.
Excellent. And I would imagine LinkedIn as well.
Yes, yeah, that's right. We are on LinkedIn as well.
So
Yeah.
that's great. Well, I really appreciate this.
yeah, thank you for coming on, because I learned a lot actually.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I
Well,
had
thank
no
you so
idea.
much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you, Marian. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.